Hi guys, my name is Rajveer and I'm working as an application security consultant here at the Cognisys Group.
Hi guys, my name is Punit and I'm also the application security consultant. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah. So we do really find a lot of critical issues on every third or the fourth day, or maybe every second day, I guess.
Yeah, I guess out of 10, we on 7 pen tests we find higher critical issues.
I remember one of the bank we were testing on, and it was a black box test.
Black box.
Yeah, and it was just for 2 days, and we were not expecting a black box test turning
into a
tables
critical
like
issue.
this. So it was just 2-day test, and we were not expecting any issues because it was just a black box test. And even though there was just a login page and we found a SQL injection, and it was not on the login page.
It was not on the typical
to
login
the audience who were expecting that it will be on the login page. It was not on the login page because people expect the SQL injection
to be on a login page.
But and we didn't find it on login page. It was somewhere else where it was unexpected.
Yep.
So that's the big deal.
And
we found a lot of data out of it.
Yeah, I mean it was like you can say it was like full-fledged SQL injection from where we can get all this data out and dump the entire database. It has lots of information of the clients, I mean their customers and the credit cards and the account statements and all. So it was like one of the criticals that we have identified within a black box testing. So
and the best part is just 2 days. Who finds critical issues in 2 days? And that was SQL injection. It was revealing hell lot of information. It's kind of I'm dumping the whole bank in my MacBook. Okay, I remember there was a Node application you were testing and you called me that day. It was using ORM.
There was a gray box testing back then, and the client gave us a little bit technical background information about their application and architecture, about what the technologies that they have using, and we got to know that the application is built on top of Node.js and they're using Sequelize as a ORM. So the ORM is the stuff which prevents majorly from SQL injection, and it's like model stuff so that you don't need to write row queries. So we were doing with the same mindset that we are not going to find SQL injection over here. But out of like intrusive thoughts, I started putting single quote on random endpoints and random parameters, and then one of the endpoint got me really interesting and weird behavior. So then I called Punit to discuss more, and then we have researched on that, and we thought that we have identified the vulnerability in the ORM
itself,
Sequelize itself. But
we thought we got a CVE.
But that was not the case because later when we identified the issue, in a briefing call with the client, they mentioned that how this was arise because
one
of the developers was using row queries within the ORM models, and that's where the input wasn't sanitized. So we got that we got that SQL injection, and the data was really massive.
We got a lot of data. Like for example, it's a big company
dealing with IoT devices
all around the UK and Europe. It had a lot of clients, so we were able to access, because they are using IoT devices, and those IoT devices were like
monitoring pressure and some.
So those IoT devices were like they were everywhere. Like for example, you have a company and you are also having IoT devices. So I can see yours as well, his as well, and anybody else.
So that was the biggest impact on that particular pen test assessment that we have done. And talking about more horror stories.
I remember one of that. It was a kind of intelligence service.
So it was just gathering all the information on the internet, including dark web, deep web, and then it was being used by some big companies and even government agencies. And in that particular assessment, we have identified a really serious access control issue that we were able to get the access of any organization's users account, and then we can see what they are looking for and what the information they are searching on the entire internet.
Right. So that's the best part, because they had a lot of clients and we were able to access those clients, admin and managers as well. So that was really critical issues, and it was one of the biggest intel gathering kind of company. So we'll not discuss the name, but yeah, it was our client, and
it was also the like they fixed it really quickly once we have reported it. Yeah.
So they were fast in it. Yeah.
So that was all about horror stories. We have lots of horror stories.
But every day, every day. It happens a lot that most companies which are migrating from offline to online, they are not aware about that this vulnerability should be their priority. And so it's not a challenge actually, it's challenge for them, but we here at Cognisys try to solve it. We provide a roadmap that this kind of vulnerability should be their priority and this kind of vulnerability should be their low priority stuff. So we give a priority based roadmap that this vulnerability should be fixed within short period of time, then this should be in medium period of time, and then long period of time. So that's how we go through that smart view stuff we have already talked about.
Right, and apart from roadmaps, we also provide brief security posture of the application. So it helps new businesses to understand the overall security posture of their application, and what's the impact of the issues that we have identified in a simple language that they can understand, and then they can resolve these issues.
Okay, so for developers, I think they must be aware of at least OS top 10 vulnerabilities or all this kind of
OS top 10 is
guidelines, standards.
That is the basic knowledge that they should have. And apart from that, I would say like the cybersecurity, the generic awareness should be there, that user input can be trusted.
User input. User input is really important. Never trust any user input.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, never trust.
And just we have talked about the in the earliest example of horror stories that we have identified the SQL injection in row queries. So developer might think that they are using ORM as a security,
and they are secure, but they are not.
But they are still using the row queries, so that means they are not aware that just using ORM can't provide them full-fledged security against SQL injections.
So in general, it should be like every input should be sanitized, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Wherever it is going, it should be properly sanitized before rendering or before processing it in any kind of logic.
Yeah.
So also, go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, because developers also deal with lots of third-party softwares, libraries, integrations and all, so they also need to go through like the documentation very thoroughly, so they don't implement in an insecure way.
Even supply chain attacks are increasing day by day, and they should be aware about like how they are integrating those APIs, third-party libraries or softwares, right?
There are lots of things that developer needs to be aware of, and also the regular audits and assessment and pen testings. There are lots of aspects.
The best part is like we have a different methodology than industries providing, and we are not just scanning, we are manually digging those applications and trying to find those vulnerabilities.
We don't go with the usual regular scanning stuff and regular audits and pen testing that are just test cases that are just pre-built and predefined. We go through your application thoroughly and test your application and find interesting and critical vulnerabilities within that application.
And the best part, another best part.
So the reporting.
Reporting. So reporting, we have SmartView, and while you are on a pen test, we are keep updating the vulnerabilities
on our portal, so you can get the live updates regarding the pen test happening. So you can also, if we identify any higher critical issue, we immediately report it to the portal, so you can directly log into the portal and then just know the vulnerability, and you can start working on that.
Before the
final report,
before the
release of the final report.
You can start working on it. So that's the best part. There are a lot of other things we provide. If you want to do your security audits, please contact us, and we provide pen testing services.